So today we have various updates, and we begin with a wild rumour. My Time to Shine Hello, who is the same person that told us the Dave Filoni film's going to be called Heir to the Empire, is now saying Kevin Feige's film is still in the works, and it's going to feature Mara Jade, Luke's wife in the expanded universe. One of the most beloved characters from Timothy Zahn's work, a former smuggler who was raised as a servant and assassin to Emperor Palpatine. Now I should say, this rumour is very unlikely to be true, because while Mara Jade might feature in some Mandoverse projects if Jon Favreau decides to bring her over into canon, at Star Wars Celebration, Kathleen Kennedy shut down all possibility of a Kevin Feige film, falsely claiming it was never in the works. But if he does come up with something, she says that she's all ears. What we do know is that Michael Waldron was writing a Star Wars movie that was believed to be the one that was meant to be directed by Kevin Feige. But what was stated at the time is that the film was going to feature an all-new cast, with brand new characters, no legacy ones, in a new era of the timeline. So even if Kevin's film is in development, it's probably not going to feature Mara Jade. The one movie that would logically include her is the one by Dave, the Mandoverse film. And so now, my dear friends, perhaps some much needed good news for fans of Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett Season 2 is not happening according to Bespin Bulletin, but he's going to appear in The Mandalorian Season 4. This is something that we pretty much suspected. A few months ago, Making Star Wars did put forward the same thing, but now we have an update. While it sounds as though Lucasfilm has no plans to do a second season of The Book of Boba Fett, they are going to do more of this story in the 4th season of Mando. Temuera Morrison was upset he wasn't called for Season 3, and the same thing applies to Ming-Na Wen, who wanted more Fennec Shand in the 3rd season, but that wasn't the story. They wanted to focus on the restoration of Mandalore, everything to do with Moff Gideon, his death, but Season 4 is poised to be a reset, where Din Djarin and Din Grogu are going to go about the galaxy, working as mercenaries for the New Republic, and so Boba Fett is going to come into play there. This is what Bespin Bulletin say. Towards the tail end of last week, a rumour from Production Weekly popped up, which stated that the 4th season of Mando was scheduled to begin filming in November, 2 months after the shoot was due to begin. This followed a report from Deadline which revealed the production on the 4th season was going to be delayed due to what's going on with the strike with the Writers Guild of America. So Bespin say it's through a report from Making Star Wars that confirms what they previously suspected. Their sources told them Boba will appear in the 4th season, but there is no plan to do a 2nd season of the Book of Boba Fett. Now the reason I said at the start of this is going to come as very good news to Boba fans. Many fans who didn't really like the treatment of Boba in the Book of Boba Fett in his own show do think that Boba works better as a side character, as an ally to Din Djarin. Well, that seems to be what they're going to go back to. That is the plan going forward. So moving on to another piece of Star Wars news away from the Mandoverse, I've seen a lot of hype about Hayden Christensen's conversation with Diego Luna for Variety's Actors on Actors. Well, that seems to have happened, and there are some really awesome takeaways. Let's talk about some of the juiciest stuff of this conversation. Hayden, who plays Anakin and Darth Vader, spoke with Cassian Andor himself, Diego Luna, to discuss their very differing careers and experiences in the Star Wars universe. And as Variety say, it's a nice combination of different perspectives. They both acted in Star Wars at very different points in their careers, but also different periods of the last few years. Hayden did Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and then he came back for the Kenobi show, whereas Diego did Rogue One, and then the Andor show. So 2 very recent things, whereas Hayden remembers the days of the 2000s, where Star Wars fans were less than charitable when it came to George Lucas's prequel trilogy. So Luna asked Christensen what made him want to return to the franchise in Kenobi, and Hayden was very honest and candid. He said, quote, "Just the nature of getting the invitation. Star Wars holds a very special place in my heart. I enjoyed getting back to being a fan again, and just watching these stories like everyone else, but there was a part of me that missed it too." Now if you remember guys, Deborah Chow went to see Hayden on his farm to convince him to return. Originally he was a bit hesitant, so she went there, had a conversation, and he realised it wasn't all bad despite what fans were saying, what various outlets were saying, those that were being horrible about his depiction of Anakin, and he figured it was time to give it another go, to return to a franchise he loves. And in preparation, he not only watched the films, but also the TV shows like on Disney+, and most importantly, the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, Dave Filoni's animated shows. Now when this information came out in the build-up to Kenobi, a lot of fans were thinking, this is such good news, because it means we're going to see lots of flashbacks, he's going to really impersonate the Anakin we see in the Clone Wars, not just how he was in the prequel films. And there were some flashbacks, but not too many where we see that side of Anakin. But then you have to remember he's going to be in Ahsoka as well, not just as Anakin's Force ghost and probably Vader in flashbacks, but Anakin in flashbacks too. That is a huge opportunity I can't see Dave Filoni wasting. Hayden continues, so when I got the call it was a very easy decision, and the fact it was the Obi-Wan show with Ewan McGregor, who is a good friend of mine, and that I get to swing a lightsaber with him again, it was a thrilling invitation. Hayden is so wholesome, and this was one of the best moments of the entire interview. And so now, my dear friends, if there's one man who beat all the odds in terms of his acting career, it's Diego Luna, who, speaking with Backstage, talks about his inspiring story, the Andor star, on his unorthodox career approach, and telling stories that matter. Diego Luna called them via FaceTime from London, where he's busy shooting the second season of Andor. They say he's been on set all day, and he's a tad restless. On the subject of his career, he said he never thought he would make it this far. Your acting is about the moment, he says. He said he never would have thought that doing Y Tu Mama Tambien was gonna get him to feature in Rogue One. Acting in Star Wars was beyond his wildest dreams. He also mentions remembering how he thought his Mexican accent was gonna hold him back. He didn't think they'd want that in Star Wars, but he learned to overcome his own insecurities. And now, look how far he's come, a fixture of this era of Star Wars, winning and being nominated for all kinds of awards. Really can't wait for Andor Season 2. And so now, my dear friends, since today we're talking about wild rumours, here is a crazy one from Giant Freaking Robot. This outlet is not too reliable, they get a lot of things wrong, but it is worth talking about some things that come up, because if they're true, what are the implications of this? Well, according to a new rumour, Dave Filoni for his 2026 Star Wars film is going to include Han and Leia. Now this could just be a good guess, because I would say if they're doing elements of Heir to the Empire, you kind of need Han and Leia in some capacity, and the technology is there to DH Harrison Ford. We see it in Indiana Jones 5, but that's not the route they're going. According to this rumour, it's going to be Alden Ehrenreich, who played Solo in Solo: A Star Wars Story. I thought he was really good. I think he embodies the role quite well. I know there are those who don't agree with this and say he wasn't very good, but I think he's a good actor and he does deserve a chance to play the character again. I think Solo, despite losing money, was a very underrated film. And this also means the return of Chewie, probably Donald Glover as well, as Lando. He's also returning in his own show called Lando, and that is something Kathleen Kennedy confirmed at Star Wars Celebration. It's still in the pipeline, it's still in the works. It is coming, they've not scrapped it. Well, they say Han Solo is going to be in this film, and they also reference the fact that back in April, Dave Filoni did tease if characters from around the Star Wars universe we're familiar with need to appear in the film, they will. If this rumour is to be believed, they're going to do that with Han and Leia, which also probably means Luke. If you enjoyed this video, my dear friends, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and if you want access to videos you can't find here on YouTube, while also getting your name at the end of my videos, then click the link down there in the description. May the Force be with you, always.